What's up, everybody? BJ Tech Nerd here. On today's podcast, I have retired boxer Yana. Yana, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am not too shabby. Yana, before we start, I just want to say a special thank you to the good folks at Higher Health Canada and USA for making amazing products. If anyone's interested in eating beef, liver, spleen, any of that good stuff, and can't really eat it on a day to day basis, they make a pill form, so that'll help you out. Local farming done here in Canada and USA. And also a special shout out to the good folks at X Martial who provide me with great jiu-jitsu gear for fighting, funny stuff that lasts long. And I'll put my special code somewhere here, like right here. It's one word, BJJ Tech Nerd. That's BJJ Tech Nerd. I nailed it. I did it. So excited.
Now
How
we
are
can
you
get
doing,
into the
Yana?
real stuff. I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day ish. It's humid, but we're happy.
I was Yeah, I was going to ask you how's the weather on your end, but we're both in the same city, so yeah, it's not bad today.
Yeah, you can tell the weather just by the size of my hair, but that's like not.
Likewise, yeah, it's crazy. It's nice to have someone here in Montreal too, with like the to understand what we go through in a day. Like we have the
Oh,
craziest winters and like desert summers. It's crazy.
absolutely. You want to live all the elements within a span of a month? Come here. It'll be a good time.
Yeah, so you can really strengthen your immune system there. Give it a little shock test. So Yana, boxing.
Yes.
When did you start boxing?
I started boxing like about a month before my 18th birthday.
Hmm.
So like like let's say June, my birthday's in August, like June 2016, I believe, right before the 2016 Olympics.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And what made you choose boxing exactly? Was it just like was there any other martial arts in your mind? Or you were just like drawn to boxing kind of thing? What inspired you to do
So I
boxing?
so I think it came like I grew up. Both my parents were karate athletes, high level. My dad, in particular,
Nice.
was on the Romanian national team. Came here, met my mother, who was on the Quebec team. They, got married, whatever. He got on the Canadian team. So he also has his own karate equipment brand. So I was raised seeing martial arts and combat sports. I actually, ironically enough, was not an athletic kid. Like I was very quiet, very always nose in a book, very like
Hmm.
the natural athleticism was there, but the skill was not. Like, don't ask me to play any mainstream sport. It's not happening. It's going to the ball will go in the opposite direction of where it needs to. Like I'll run really fast. Like I'm very type B sports. Like I'm not type A. Like like anything that requires aim is not happening. But it came to a point when I was around 17, I was getting the interest. Like I felt like I wanted to do something more serious, and karate for me was my first idea. It's just
Hmm.
that one, it wasn't in the Olympics at the time. They did it as a
Hmm.
demo last year, but only one
Okay.
demo. And then also it came to the fact, well, my parents are no, my dad's brand is known. They know my dad, they know my face. Like a lot of the good coaches around me know me since I'm in diapers. So I kind of wanted to make my own path. And so
Yeah.
there was a boxing gym 10 minutes from my house. My mom had actually brought me the year prior because I think I was
Okay.
itching even at that time to start a sport, and she brought me, and I can't be told what to do. Like just because my mom thought it was a good idea, I stayed in the car and didn't go in. Like I did not want to go inside. And then yeah, no, I decided that one, two, three, go. Tried my first class at 17, just kind of like jumped into it. As I said, it fell into my lap. Wasn't really like thinking much of it. I thought, hey, let's just see what this is all about and try it out. And so that's kind of how I got started. I think the fact that I had good speed and I had seen combat sports growing up made that I had picked it up easier than others. Like, so I would say
Yeah.
that would be
That's
why, but
pretty
there's not this
awesome.
huge reason. Yeah,
Wow, what a crazy! But your parents both in karate. Like, wow, that's pretty badass.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's something I hope to inspire my son one day, doing jiu-jitsu and whatnot. But it's funny because boxing for me was the biggest thing when I got hurt many years ago. I broke my back
Hmm.
and I couldn't really do anything much. I want to start strength training again. I couldn't move at certain points. I had these massive twitches, all whatnot. And then I'm like, okay, let me try something with boxing. I can just move my hands a little bit, my feet. It should be okay. And for people listening, like and who don't do any type of martial arts or training, boxing is so fun. It was like the best. It was the boxing helped me get back into shape. like all my back pains are gone because of boxing. Like the movements, this even just punch in the bag for 2 minutes, you'll get a crazy workout. I thought like I was
Yeah.
going to die. The amount of sweating, and I learned a lot too. And like even not sparring, I actually got hurt a few times just by miscalculating my punch and punching on the pinky.
Ooh.
Luckily, my hands were wrapped, but yeah, it's such a fun workout, and I'm happy I actually caught you because long story short, everyone, I found Yana from our gym, Athletica, and I've seen you
Mhm.
been doing the boxing classes. And even my
Mhm.
wife was like, "Oh my god, I want to try box one day." And I just wanted to reach out to you. I'm like, I gotta get you on my show. So thank you
Of
for coming
course.
on such short notice. I love that. So
It's absolutely my pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
and now, are you doing boxing coaching full time now, or is that your is that what you're aspiring to be, or is it just like a hobby kind of thing right now? What's
Mm, I mean, so I retired my gloves last September. I hung them up. I was like, boxing is we're closing the chapter on that journey. I
Mhm.
was very lucky to have. We can get into that story as to why, and
For
that might be
sure?
one of your questions as to why I stopped.
Yes, yes.
But I was very lucky to have. I'm an athletic therapy student, so I know Damien from school. And we met him. I met
Hmm.
him in anatomy class, and so I was very
Nice.
fortunate to kind of within the same day of getting off the phone with my coach saying, I think I'm done, I texted him,
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, I need a place to train. So I had a very smooth transition from sport to sport. And now still a full time student. I still have 2 years left on my degree. So coaching, yes, I have the boxing class when they opened Alpha Athletica. That was the main reason why they hired me, was because I had this baggage and had this in my toolbox. Uh,
Hmm.
do I aspire to be an actual boxing coach? No, I don't see it as something that I like to actually get someone into the ring and be ringside and have them
Hmm.
fight. No, I've distanced myself from that community, and I'm okay with that. Like I love coaching, but I don't see myself
Yeah,
actually being a real boxing coach, like in terms of getting someone to fight.
that's okay. But right now, like as a coach at Athletica, do you get some joy like coaching other people, like getting them like out of their comfort zone kind of thing? Is that
Absolutely,
something
I
that?
love sharing. Like combat sports in general bring you a sense of like there's nothing that can explain, like obviously it's a group fitness class,
Hmm.
but there's nothing comparable to getting into a ring and putting yourself in that kind of situation, to
Hmm.
overcome yourself in that kind of situation, to surpass every time you're over, like
Yes.
you are passing limits that you did not know you had. And I'm sure you can say the same when you're on a mat when someone's trying to choke you out. Like it's there's nothing that compares to that. And for me, being able to at least translate the empowerment that comes from
Hmm.
hitting a bag and having a solid punch on the pads, and just you feel more confident with a sport like this and with this kind of training. It's empowering, especially for women in my classes. I'm really happy to see more and more women joining, and the sense of empowerment that I have and the confidence that I have because I know how to throw a solid punch is important.
Hmm.
Like I'm happy to share
Pretty
that.
sure you do. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Because true, because even my wife was saying like, "Oh my god, there's boxing now. There's a boxing
Mhm.
class," and it's like, yeah, you should try. It was so hard just getting my wife over the years to a gym because she hasn't trained anything her whole life, and she's
Yeah.
seen me doing jujitsu and all this stuff. I told her, you don't have to do jujitsu because I do it, but I said, let's
Mhm.
do something together. And that's why we found Athletica, and I'm like, okay, great, we'll do the boot camp. But now she's in the gym, she's training, she's gone through the whole, oh my god, the hard pain, and like she's past that stage now. Now she's excited to go to the gym. She gets
Mhm.
mad if she misses a class, and now she sees, I think her next step for sure, I can swear on this, she is going to do a boxing class. I can feel it because if she said it, it means she wants to do it. So I'm going to get her there eventually. I'd like to do a boxing class with her. I have a couple pair of gloves with ready in the garage, so I'm excited for that. So eventually it's going to happen, and pretty sure you'll coach us there.
Of
So that's
course, I'm
super
excited to
fun.
see her. Tell her to join anytime.
And while you were boxing, what made you decide to retire? Did you lose passion for it, or is it just like, it was fun, kind of my hobby. I'm over it,
So,
kind of thing.
so I, I I started with the intention of seeing where it went. It didn't take very
Hmm.
long, and then I was all in. So I was all in for about, it took me 9 months before I stepped into a ring to compete. And then from that point forward, I was like, I'm all in on this. All my energy is on this. I was very like 6 years, just head down, moving forward
Wow.
back to all mentality. Uh, it was not like a hobby for me. It was really like, okay,
Mhm.
let's try and make the Olympics. Like it did not take long, and I was like, okay, let's really see how far I can go with this because I'm putting in the work and I'm doing everything you need to do. So let's see where this goes. I think it came to a point though, however, that I it was it was not it just became not fun anymore towards the end in
Mhm.
particular because it's a very political sport, and I made the provincial team in December of 2021, like last a little over a year ago. I had made the provincial team, which is cool. Like I was getting one step closer to my goal, and I was obviously always aiming to make the national team, and that dream was starting to become a question of when it happens, not a question of if one
Mhm.
day maybe. It was becoming a question of when. And then they actually had this tryout thing in the COVID period of 2021 or
Yes.
something. I'm getting my timeline mixed up, but they
That's all
had
right.
right after I made the provincial team, they had this like online audition almost to make Team
Wow.
Canada. It was not an in like first
That's
of all, like
special.
I don't want to dive too much into it because I don't want to get in trouble, but like why are you holding an audition for something that needs to happen in a ring? You can't prove a fighter from just some skill tests and a video of a fight. So anyways, they chose
Yeah,
me to
it's
be
great.
on their development. So I basically made not long after I made Team B for like Team B development team for Team Canada, which is cool. Like I was like, okay, amazing. It's just that it started to like financially it was looking very heavy, and also school
Mhm.
wise I was looking
Yes.
at, I was applying to get into the athletic therapy specialization, and I knew that boxing is not a sport you do halfway at all. You have to be all in or not at all because you're just getting injured
Mhm.
otherwise. And you have to really be ready to be in the mindset and mentality. It's also a very lonely sport. Like you have to be ready to be in, day out. The nutrition
Yeah.
is like a huge thing. You're not, you're not like outside of the gym, you're not doing much, which is most sports. But I feel like anything that has also a weight component to it, you're even restricted more so. And that was ultimately the weight thing was, I think, what made me walk away because it was just not worth it anymore. Because you're
Yeah.
just constantly thinking, over analyzing, what am I eating? How am I eating? Like just going on vacation, I didn't have any more peace in terms of like what weight category. And plus, when I'm on the national team, well, I'm on the national team for a specific weight category,
Yeah.
so that was what kind of ultimately was the hardest for me. Because if I think back on it, even as a teenager, like I did not have the best relationship with food, and I did not have the best
Mhm.
relationship with my body, and I had come to a peaceful place, and then I had started boxing, which kind of re-put me into that bad mental headspace. And
Yes.
I think it just kind of like I'm sure you can relate with jujitsu. Like there's the weight component is the shittiest part of the sport. Um,
Yeah, for sure. Weight cutting and
yeah,
making weight is like, well, now
it's
that
the worst part.
you mentioned like food and nutrition. I wanted to ask you, was one of my questions like, what
Mm-hmm.
is your routine or your what is your favorite food to eat, or what's your routine diet kind of thing
Now that I'm
today?
not
And like,
boxing, now that
no, you're not
I'm
boxing.
because now that I'm not, well, I'm all in CrossFit now because I still see myself on an athletic journey. Like I still
Hmm.
don't think my story's done. I still do see myself trying to compete at a high level to some extent, and I'm all in CrossFit right now. And I think actually what I'm enjoying is I'm a very small athlete for the sport still, so I'm just kind of like, okay, we're eating ridiculous amounts of peanut butter. We're just trying.
I just had peanut butter.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. So I now there's obviously I have my good habits that I developed with boxing. Just nutrition wise, I make sure that I hit my protein goal. It's a lot less structured, and I'm a lot less worried about the amount because I'm more worried about getting enough versus
Hmm.
trying to stay under a certain quota. Um, and so I think like if we're talking about favorite foods, you can't go wrong with
Yeah.
a bagel with avocado and like some eggs on the side. Like breakfast foods
Oh
are my favorite
yeah.
thing ever.
Yeah, breakfast is the best
Um
though. It's the best.
like a good brunch moment, I'll never say no. And yeah, I'd say that kind of stuff. Otherwise, like as long as it's balanced like I always aim for a lot of carbs, good proteins. I'm not it's not hard to get me to eat my fruit and vegetables. Like everything in moderation, I'd say, is my current diet. Yeah.
Trying to think about my favorite junk food right now. All I'm thinking about is like jelly beans and anything. Sorry, gummy bears. Those are those are so bad. They're so good, but they're so bad
Gummy
for you.
bears.
Yeah, it's
I'm a
because my
pretty sweet
son.
person. I'm a pastry
Oh
person.
yes,
Like sweets, I have a sweet tooth. Like I'm
cakes.
more sweet than salty. But if you bring me to
Yes, me
like a
too.
good pastry shop, you've lost me. It's heaven for me.
I don't care. I don't care about my budget. If I see something sweet, something with a lot of custard or cream, like yeah, let's try this and this and this. And you just walk out with $50 worth of stuff. Like oh god, what have I done to myself? It's
Yeah,
hard.
I know. I
It's
relate
hard
to
being in
that.
shape, but it's funny because being in shape and trying to keep a good version of yourself. Like I try and respect a good nutrition as well. Like what nutrition
Mhm.
is best. I find like how you find like social media is like making everything so complicated with like nutrition lately, like the past like 2 3 years, ever since COVID. It's like I find it
So
so hard to understand what's healthy. What are your
I
thoughts on that?
think I did a lot of work as an athlete
Hmm.
in a weight control sport. I made a point of becoming my own nutritionist to a point. Like I did a
Hmm.
coaching certification just because there was so
Nice.
much noise. There's so much noise around
Yes.
it, and everything is the best, but ultimately what's best is what works for you and what makes you perform and feel your best. And
Amen.
I think like I've stopped paying attention to it. I'm grateful to not be hyper focused because during my boxing time, especially for the first few years, it was a hyper focus for me. It was just what am I eating, how am I eating, what am I weighing? Like I went through a really badly guided weight cut at one point, which is like any weight controlled athlete listening to this, please go see a nutritionist that is well versed in your sport, not just some
Yes.
bodybuilding dude, because that's what I had gone through. Like he put me on the stage. Like no, like if we're gonna talk about it, like I was put on a
Yeah.
stage plan to prep for a fight. Like a stage plan for bodybuilding is like I was on a ridiculously low amount of carbs, like 67 grams of carbs and 180 grams of protein. And to put into perspective, like
Jeez.
I fought in the 52-kilo weight class. Like maybe 120 grams of protein would have worked for me.
Yeah.
I was a very light athlete, so there's no reason for me to be eating what maybe a 200-pound man could like. Anyways, does not matter. I digress. um I digress. But it's just I really came to be knowledgeable and in tune with my body, which I guess is I'm grateful for now, because I nutrition is like not even a second thought in my brain. Like I just kind of go about it and I trust what I like, what my body needs.
Yes.
For me it's like it's just stays like it's the basics, like stay with the mostly whole foods 80% of the
Mhm.
time. So carbohydrate sources, like I mean pasta is amazing. Like you don't have to demonize pasta. Like you get a nice whole grain
Yeah.
pasta with a good meat sauce and put some like vegetables on the side, like that's a solid meal right there. And even then people like are
Exactly.
all hyped about protein, but like they're like brown bread has protein, pasta has there's protein in almost everything, and it's not doesn't need to be that high. Like it's overcomplicated for no reason because it's a business. They want to make money and they want
Exactly.
to sell stuff. But it's if you stick to your basics, like if it's in its most natural state, you can't go wrong.
100%. And that's what the conclusion I've come to now. For the past like 2 3 years, I've been through this cycle of uh, you watch these things on Netflix, right? These documentaries, and that's where it
Yeah.
starts. I find people scare you. They have that fear of, and I became a vegan, then I became a
Mm-hmm.
vegetarian, and then a
Mm-hmm.
carnivore, and now
Mm-hmm.
I'm at a place where I'm like, okay, I've done it all. I know it works best for me. I know my body better than some doctor just prescribed me a fast no fix
Yeah.
for stuff. But I can judge for myself what's good for me, what works for me now. So I'm over this
Yeah.
whole food war, let's call it. It's just ridiculous. I'll
Yeah.
never and I never like attacked anyone for it. You have to be a vegan, you have to be a vegetarian. No,
Yeah.
because my body works a certain way compared to your body, and you can eat onions. I can't. I'll probably die or be sick the whole day, kind of thing. That's what works for me. So I've come to the same conclusion like Z is like, whole foods, don't overcomplicate. You can have pasta. Just don't,
Yeah.
have like two huge plates of pasta, because too much of anything is bad for you. Have 10 apples in a day. See what happens to your body with
Mm-hmm.
all that acid. Like
Yeah.
people have to use that common sense. Like it's okay to eat food, people. Just like calm down. There's no war kind of thing. I
No,
want
like
to
I
ask you that
really
as an athlete, what
no,
you thought,
absolutely. And I
like this
really
whole food
relate to
war.
Well, yeah, and I really relate to the because I too like I was a vegetarian as a teenager for about 3 years, and then I started boxing, so I incorporated more animal products into my diet again, and then I went on that really bad like weight cut process with 180
Hmm.
grams of protein. So then I was vegan for about a year. I was like, I don't want to see meat, I don't want to eat animal products. I'm done. And then
Yes.
cutting weight on a vegan diet, that was something. that was something because you have to get
How?
enough
How's it?
protein in and stay in your quota. Let's say I had
Oh my.
1,700 calories to get. Well, then I also have my 125 grams of protein. But think about it, like a vegan diet is usually high volume and it's going to be higher calorie. There's a lot of fiber, and then at the same time, your body's not absorbing as many nutrients from the food because there's so much fiber. Anyways, I could go on about this for an hour
It's
because
gonna deep dive into like there's so much
yeah,
behind. It's crazy though. It's a
yeah.
crazy
So
world of
I'm
oh.
I'm just like whatever brings my brain peace is how I eat right now.
Exactly. That's it. Just
Yeah,
make it simple, people. Whole
yeah,
foods. Try not avoid the all the packaging and the you know
yeah. And
if
even
it's very sorry, go yeah, go for it.
I was gonna say, don't get me wrong. Like, I'll flatten a bag of chips in a second. Like, there's no,
Oh yeah.
there's
I'm
like, I will. Anything goes. Anything goes. As long as I'm feeling good, we're fine.
exactly. I believe in cheap meals too. Like sometimes, like you said, a bag of chips. Like I try to say if it's packaged and it's easy to eat, maybe it's not best to eat, but if you can have a cheat day, you can reward yourself. You work hard enough. Like sometimes I've done like a boot camp or jujitsu, and there's like cake left in the fridge. I ate the cake. I know I should have a protein shake or have my Greek yogurt with honey and fruits, but you know what? I want that cake. I feel great. I earned it, and I went to bed, and I
Mhm,
felt great about it. So yeah,
mhm.
but being doing boxing, and now you're still in university. You have 2 years left,
Yep.
and working now at Athletica.
Mhm.
Have you done other jobs before Athletica, like while working in university, or is it just like boxing full time kind of?
It was a lot of boxing full time with not a lot of income. Like, I had a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of like a monthly or like yearly salary, but like like pennies, like tiny thing. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
very fortunate, like that comes with a lot of privilege because I had absolute support from my parents to go to school
Yeah.
and to do box. Like, they're like, we support education, we support sports. So if you want to go all in,
Mm-hmm.
you have our support. I helped with what I could, and I would have summer jobs. And actually, growing up, um, as I had mentioned before, my dad has a karate equipment company, which required a lot of traveling. So I had some wonderful opportunities to actually travel with him and work in kiosks and partake in like that kind of work. So I would do, let's
Yeah.
say, a couple weeks with him. Like, he even like ingrained in us that the outside world teaches us a lot more than even in the classroom sometimes. So there were times in
Mm-hmm.
high school,
True.
like, it was fun to miss school and be going to like Vancouver to be like working for like a week, and then we get to go snowboarding. Like, that was like the kind of
Oh,
stuff that my
nice.
dad would do with us, and it was really nice to get that kind of work experience prior. Like, you get to meet all kinds of different people from around the world. Like we've had wonderful travel experiences because of that, and we got to learn different cultures at the same time, and also interact with, as I
Yes.
said, many different types of people, which I think is a tool in the toolbox that makes like it serves a lot. And then other than that, like, I did the typical university jobs at my first boxing gym, actually, because I switched 3 years into my boxing trajectory. I switched gyms, and at my first one, within like a month of training there, they hired me to like work behind the counter and be the reception and make the smoothies and sell the Gatorades. So I did that for 9 months about, and then when I decided to start competing, I pulled back from that, and I was just making the decision to not have my coach as my boss anymore because that was not always the best um, time, but you know.
Yes.
You learn, and then other than that, as I said, university jobs, like I was a
It's
bus
hard
girl,
here.
barista, type of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I remember. Well, I didn't go to university. I just stopped at college, and I went to a trade. But I remember when my wife, when she was in university, it's like Jesus. Like she was like McGill. It's like nonstop. Like you guys basically have no life, kind of thing. It's like I don't
Yeah.
know how you're even able to have like an hour or two to yourself. I remember when we first started going out, I would like message her like, "Are you free to like?" No, I'm doing this report. I'm catching up on this report. I'm doing this report. It's like there's my God, university is so tough. I thought college was bad, but university is like even worse. I'm blessed not to go down the university route, but still made it pretty good out in the real world, I think. But
Yeah, and
yeah,
I've spent five
hats off to
years.
you. Don't worry.
I've
five
spent five
years.
years figuring it out. I still got two, so it took me a while to figure out my stuff. But once you decide and you enjoy the program, it stays that you make time for what you make time for. So I
Exactly.
purposely started university already only taking 4 courses instead of five because I was like, I need to
Yes.
make time for my training. I don't care if it takes me
Mm-hmm.
maybe at that time I was like, it's going to take me maybe a year longer. It's going to take me 4 years longer than
Yeah.
than the
Oh, that's
original
all right.
pathway. Oh, absolutely. But I structured it specifically because I need balance, and I like
Mm-hmm.
you're saying, I don't like when things overtake my life. Like, I'm not a one thing person. I like to
Mm-hmm.
have my balance and my peace, and if I'm not having fun, it questions, is it worth it?
Yeah.
Because, so I kind of, I haven't felt that kind of thing from university so far. It's long, but I also made a point of
Mm-hmm.
making sure that the degree I end up with is something I enjoy and will stick with, and not regret the degree that I did. That's why I like switched
Yeah.
a few times, but yeah.
Oh, for sure. Everyone's path is different in life, right? Because
Hmm.
even like when I did college, like my program, I think it was social sciences. It's 2 year program. I could have done it in
Yep.
2 years. I think I've done it in. It took me almost 4 years because I was working part time, trying to figure out if I still want to continue this. Then halfway through college, I'm like, am I gonna stop or just work it? I'm like, no, I might as well just. I'm already halfway. I'm gonna finish it off. So that's
Yep.
4 years. Almost 4 years, and I did it. And I was proud. But at the same time, like when I was in college, everyone's journey is different, right? I've seen people in their 40s and early 50s in college, so like you never know what happens in life. Like it's never too late to educate yourself, never really get an education. So I'm happy I pushed through that. So
Hmm.
and 2 years left, you're almost there. You get it done.
Oh,
Easy
absolutely. And I'm
stuff.
with such good
Easy
people.
stuff.
It's going by in a breeze. I enjoy it. So that's what matters.
So I want to ask you a little bit about what has boxing give you outside of the ring.
um
Oh
I
yeah,
think
put you on the spot.
that's a good question.
Why, thank you.
Um
I thought about it for a while.
I I think it's made things not seem so hard sometimes. Like when you purposely
Yeah.
choose to end your days with someone trying to knock you out, other things don't seem so difficult. Same thing for any kind of, you understand what I mean? Like, when you
Nailed it.
yeah, other it's that's kind of what it served me. It also boosted, like, it made me a more confident person in who I am and how I show up
Yeah.
every day. It made me more comfortable in who I am, even though at the same time it was a battle internally. Like, as I said, the weight thing was hard, and like, there were certain things that I eventually had to walk away from and decide that it's not worth the because it brings the like sometimes it would bring the question of mental toughness and mental health with the mentality that follows that kind of sport.
Hmm.
Um, but I think overall it's definitely made me more resilient to certain little things that might have, you know, swayed me before. And like, it makes the little things not seem important anymore. Like, the little challenges, not a big deal anymore, that kind of thing. So yeah, I would say it definitely boosted my self-confidence and who I am and how I show up, and it also made, like, the small challenges in life not seem like such a big deal.
Oh, oh, for sure. I think I can relate to that can relate to any martial art you train
Yep.
because, like in jiu-jitsu, right? I'm being strangled. I'm gonna die the first couple months when I started, but
Yeah.
it has, like you said, made the little things seem like nothing.
Hmm.
It makes you like more calm as a person. You're put in a situation where you're for me, it was like a dark times. I'm having someone on me, suffocating me.
Yeah.
So really, I should not be complaining about this guy at work or this comment said on the street or someone parking too close to my car or someone trying to cut me off traffic kind of thing. Those things are
Yeah.
just eliminated from my life. I'm more like in a Zen position. And people who train martial arts, people think that oh, you train martial arts, you must be very like you want to fight all the time. That is so far from the truth. We are the
No.
calmest people ever. We don't seek trouble. We try to avoid it at all costs. Okay, but it's we we're trained. We're there in case we need it, but we are super zen. And I can relate to that too. Like you said, you're just like all those little things are like nothing now.
Yeah.
But
You I wouldn't say I'm calm, though. I think if someone were to, there would be a first if I'm described as calm and zen. That's not that's not, but I'm not aggressive. Like, I'm not an aggressive human being, and I don't want to fight
no,
anybody. And and like, it does bring a certain sense of, it's almost because we have it, we don't feel the need to implicate it.
yes,
But actually, interestingly enough, I don't actually think boxing is a good form of self-defense anyway. So I feel like I would be useless in any kind of fight for the majority of the time, because something like wrestling or jujitsu gets you on the ground and you learn how to defend yourself.
hmm
Boxing, it's like, if the second I'm off my feet, I'm done. Like,
well, that was my next question. I wanted to ask you: has boxing ever helped you, like in a real life situation? Was there ever a moment where you felt no? That's good. That's awesome to
no,
hear. But
no.
from what you just said about boxing, I still think like if like the average person who doesn't train doesn't know how to hold a fist. They don't know how to punch correctly. They don't use their hips and all that. They don't know how to train, right? They don't know how to really
Mm-hmm.
fight. And yeah, chances are on the floor. But I think a trained boxer like yourself, you know how to keep distance. You know how to protect yourself and shield. You're gonna have the upper hand, and you don't have to worry about going on the floor. So I still
Yeah, yeah,
think
yeah.
a boxer has a great chance against
A
like an
little
average
bit of
person
they're
kind of thing.
used for sure. They're used to that kind of confrontation with a one-on-one, but I think if I were to knock on wood, like if someone were to confront me, I'm still going for the
Mm-hmm.
groin and running. Like I'm not I'm
Oh, for
not
sure.
I'm not trying to
You can always
stand.
rely on that groin.
Yeah, that's it's just I'm aiming there and I'm running. Like it's not gonna be I'm not gonna be like, let me prove what I've done for the last 7 years.
the
Like, no, we're getting
No,
out of
that
there.
that ego too. Like, a lot of people think that too,
Yeah.
like because you train martial arts, so you can have a black belt in this. You've been doing boxing for 20 years and all this stuff.
Hmm.
If someone has a gun, that's where the story's over. It's like there's nothing, there's no training for that. There's either
Yeah.
take my wallet or run away if you could. That is the martial art of going
Hmm.
against self defense in
Yep.
that
Yep.
situation. Well, I'm very
Absolutely.
happy to hear you didn't have to use boxing outside the ring. Very
No.
proud of that. That's good. I always like to hear those stories because you don't because I think about it too sometimes. I always like let's say I'm not because I'm married, right, and with my son, I'm
Hmm.
not like 18, 20, like I have responsibilities, right? So I have to be very cautious of myself. So I always try to like avoid any situation, even when we go out. Like, we're not going to a night cafe with my family or like anything like in the like a club or anything. Like you have to choose
Yeah.
where to go, where you put yourself. So it's very cautious. I'm if I see a conflict, I'm like one of the first people like to avoid that conflict as safely as possible because I have to think about
Hmm.
the other two people in my life. So it's a scary world out there, even with martial arts. But so you haven't done any boxing outside. That's good. I'm happy.
No. No.
I hate violence.
Yeah.
even though we train violence, I hate violence.
Yeah. Yeah.
That doesn't make sense, but I think we understand that.
Yeah, absolutely. And even then, I don't like saying I don't actually consider boxing to be that much. Like, it can be violent if you don't know what's going on, but if you look at it analytically, it's like a game of chess. I like to compare
It
it more to a
is.
game of chess than violence because there is a technicality to it. And they're not like I I have a harder time watching MMA than I do boxing just
Mm,
because MMA you're like when you start hammer fisting the person's face, this is where it's like, okay, this is
yeah.
just a lot of show and you're trying to that's a little bit too much for me and what I want to
Yeah.
stomach. But boxing, it depends. I'd say, or like a lot of martial arts, it's more tactical than I would say violence.
Oh, for sure.
It depends.
Like for me, the two sports that come to mind that are like super violent. Have you seen bare knuckle fighting? Like the newest, well, not newest thing, but that seems
No,
extreme for me.
I have
Oh,
not, but I don't think I need to.
yeah, I can't even watch. I've seen some of these clips of people like after one girl tried to she just like I want to try bare knuckle and like they did like a post and that like interview and like her face was just destroyed. They just wrapped her arm like her fist and she was like her face was exploded.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's hard to see stuff like that. Even something like have you heard of Lethway?
No.
So Lethway is like Muay Thai, but uh, you don't have any gloves, I believe, but you're allowed to headbutt.
Okay.
So you can use your elbows. You can cut someone with your elbows. You can headbutt. And when I watch these videos, I can't even. I have a hard time. It doesn't sit well in my stomach. That for me is like violent. I cannot. I
Look,
want to send
that's
you a
where the
video, but I
fine
probably
line
won't. Yeah,
that's
that's what
where
the
the
fine line
fine
is.
line starts. Like for me, I have pro boxing as much as I did amateur boxing, the Olympic style boxing, the red and blue corner, 3 minutes, 3 rounds, 1 minute
Yeah.
break. Like that for me, it stays a sport. Like when I would get asked, would I ever go pro? And my answer
Mm-hmm.
is no, because for me, they're 1000% athletes. But the second you get money involved, it starts being a
Mm-hmm.
show, and
Yes.
that's where it starts the brutality of it starts maybe coming out more. So that
Mm-hmm.
was always my response, is that when you get money involved, it starts becoming more of a show. So then you get fixed fights, then you get the people that are on the ground, then you get the
Exactly.
fights that create the violent image of the sport. Whereas if you look at the technicality of it, it's like someone once told me, like, boxing is literally like, you're trying to knock the other person out. But for me, an amateur, that's not necessarily the purpose. You want to outbox your
Hmm.
opponent. And I also wasn't a power puncher, so it makes that I wasn't
Hmm.
like I never aimed for the knockout because there's no point. But there's
Everybody,
varying
yeah.
opinions, and you take what you can.
The problem is, I think everybody thinks in themselves they're like a Mike Tyson, like the Mike Tyson wannabe fight. Everyone thinks that's
Yeah.
boxing. It's Mike Tyson, one punch, and that's it. What's
No.
really not. You can out punch someone by like 100 punches, and
Yeah.
you could see clearly that you won the fight without even having a knockdown. So yeah,
Mhm.
it is a chess game for sure.
Mhm.
But right now, what is your biggest passion outside of boxing? Something not boxing related. Is there something else that you are passionate about?
Well, I wouldn't actually say boxing is a passion
Or
anymore.
like
I
or a hobby or something like not boxing related kind of thing, like anything outside.
Well, so now that I've now I'm all in on CrossFit, so I would say training wise,
Mm-hmm.
my passion remains CrossFit, and it's going to
Nice.
like it shifted, and now I'm all in that this, and it's a little bit, it's still a little bit like the Steve Carell quote of like I've had this dream since lunch, and I'm not giving up on it. Um, but
Love.
it stays that I'm all in, and I'm passionate on it reaches the same intensity that boxing did for me. So I guess
Mm-hmm.
surpassing my limits stays like what intrigues me about this new sport the most, and how like
Mm-hmm.
it pushes you mentally the same way that a fight did in terms of exertion and like having to keep going and that kind of thing. If you're talking more hobby wise, because I don't consider my training a hobby, I'm like it's like I
Mm-hmm.
it's not optional. It's we're there, we're going all in, and we're
Nice.
seeing what happens. I really like spending time outside because my brain is like my brain like turns a lot, so to be able to like relax and turn it off, I love hiking, I love going outside, just
Nice.
being away from all the stimulation. So for me, hiking
Mm-hmm.
is my peace of mind hobby. I also love to read. Like I was a reader as a kid, and I still love to read now. I don't have as much time as I would love to, but it's yeah, I'd say the hiking and having a good book with like a good cup of tea are like my two things.
Oh, nice. And even when you mentioned CrossFit, it's funny because I always was intrigued by CrossFit
Mm-hmm.
because as I do jiu-jitsu, I find it's almost similar in the sense of in CrossFit and in Jiu-Jitsu, it's like a team sport kind of thing. You're surrounded by people with positive vibes that are pushing you. You're pushing you to the limits, same as Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
And now I'm doing boot camp with my wife, but that's just like the
Mm-hmm.
entry point for me. I want to start off with boot camp, and my goal is to do CrossFit eventually because I'm always I used to watch CrossFit games. I always thought it was interesting. I thought it's like, my God, how do these people do this amount of weight for so long? People think it's easy, and I know people make fun of CrossFit, but like it's so hard. Like I just see the events like power cleans nonstop. Like people understand even just doing a fan bike for 5 minutes, you'll die. Like you have to have this
Absolutely.
crazy drive in you that sometimes I don't have, but I want like CrossFit to maybe help me get that drive kind of thing. Cause I know it could help me in certain moments in jiu-jitsu where I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just get choked out. I'm so tired. But whereas I've been starting to do like a boot camp, it's giving me that, no, I still have energy in me, I can push out kind of thing. So it's kind of cool you mentioned CrossFit. I think it's a really cool sport. And I can't wait to try it. It's on my bucket list. It's in the back, but I'm gonna do it eventually.
I mean, you're training in the
Yeah.
perfect facility for it, and I think
Yeah.
it's really you have to like you were mentioning the intensity of it, but it's like
Mhm.
anything. Like you have to start with your white belt before you go to your yellow belt, then the orange, and then the
Very
green,
true.
blue,
Very
brown, whatever.
true.
You start with the smaller scale things. I mean, as I said, it reaches the same intensity, but you have to start with what your intensity is. You start at what your 100% is, and your
Exactly.
100% is not going to look like someone who's been doing it for 8, 10 years. It's
Yeah.
always there's a variability to it, so it's not that intimidating. And
Yeah.
I wasn't scared. Like I started with CrossFit right away because I mean I think I had the advantage because I had a good upper body strength already established
Hmm.
and a good cardio already
Yes.
established. So maybe that made it less intimidating to go. But it's kind of you just mess around and find out. It's not really that deep. And plus, it's like you got to be a jack of all trades, so you're gonna be good at something. And
Yeah. Exactly.
you're gonna have your strengths already to start. So maybe it's not gonna be like I'm still not a strength athlete. Like I wasn't a strength athlete before, and I'm still strength is one of my weaknesses and something that I need to work on it consistently. And it's I know my numbers are not where they're gonna be, but like they're progressive. Like you'd have to look at the long term. Like as long as the progression is a linear upward trend, that's all that matters. And
Yeah. Oh, for
Everyone
sure.
like it kind of complements itself, and as you mentioned, the community
Yeah.
is wonderful, and I've met my best friends in the last year of like 20. I'm almost 25, and now it's now that I can really feel that I'm making my connections and I'm meeting my people, and I'm very thankful for the community.
That's
So
awesome to hear.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I can also relate, like when I spoke to Maya, because
Mhm.
Maya, I told Maya, you're nuts, you're crazy in shape, you're super strong. And she told me, like, I don't want people to be intimidated. I want people to come to the gym.
Yeah.
And that conversation got me started, and it got me thinking. And because of what you said, like, it helped me and my wife, say, okay, let's do it. Let's join the gym kind of thing. And now we're there. So we're super happy. And yeah, I love Athletic. It's such a great environment. Like everyone's so happy. Everyone gives like high fives, and it's like you never feel alone. And like you be strong at certain points, and some you like I can't skip. When we do skipping, I am horrible. There's my wife. She's skipping as if she's like a boxer almost. Like where'd you skip like this? I can't even. And she's like, yeah, did you see me skip? Did you see me skip? I'm like, yeah. Then I make fun of her. Did you see my push-ups? And then the conversation drops. But then, but yeah, everyone has their strong points. It's kind of fun to be there and stuff.
Yeah, it
So
complements,
Yana,
and over time, yeah, it just comes together.
yeah. So Yana,
Mhm.
question. I have two more questions. My second last question is, Yana, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Oh,
Oof. Oof.
well, we already know you're finished university. That's for sure.
Yeah,
That's one.
hopefully, ideally, in 5 years we're done. Um, I think in 5 years, interesting. Sport wise,
Hmm.
sport wise, in 5 years, I would like to have at least made the semifinals for the CrossFit Games. I gave myself this 5 year
Nice.
plan of, quarter, because my goal in the next cycle, next February, my goal is to make quarters. Then I'm thinking quarters a second time. Then I have this whole breakdown, analytical breakdown that is just at the back of my mind. So ideally, in the next 5 years, I will be at least doing CrossFit at a semi-professional level. I am in an athletic therapy degree, and I do have the intention of working in that. There's certain aspects of it that I like, certain aspects that I don't like. My goal, even before even being accepted into that program, was if I do work as an athletic therapist, is to have my own clinic and work on my own terms,
Hmm.
because I do see myself working for myself in some way or the other.
Nice.
And I think so. If I do work as an athletic therapist, ideally it's for myself in my own clinic or setting, because I don't know. I just feel like that's the most flexible, and I have that entrepreneur side of me that I'd like to tap into. And I really love social media and making content and stuff. So if I can progress and continue doing that, like that's something that's important to me. I was actually originally one of my teenage self wanted to be a theater major, and not getting into theater school is what actually projected this whole trajectory otherwise. So I love to create content and I do have a creative side. I wanted to, like, it'd be cool to keep tapping into that, if that answers the question.
Yes, it does. Because right now, Yana, you are 25 right now.
I'm going to be 25 in August. Yeah.
Let me tell you this. When I was 25 and I asked myself this question right now, where I would see myself in 5 years, I wouldn't be able to answer it. So already you have a vision and you have a great start. So that's how I see it. So kudos to you.
But
That's
actually,
right.
if you wanted to, I nearly said this instead, but there's a quote that's going around, particularly like
Hmm.
there's something that said, like, if you have a clear vision of where your path is going, you're on someone else's path.
Hmm.
If you know what your end product is, you're on someone else's path. To not know, to kind of be unsure, is proof that you're carving your own way, because
Nice.
you're figuring it out yourself. So I like those two things. Like, I have my ideas and I have my
Hmm.
direction, but what my actual end goal is going to be, or what my end product is going to be, is very unknown to me, because I myself, like, CrossFit is a jack of all trades sport. I
Hmm.
myself is a jack of all trades person. Like, I love so many different things. Like,
Yes.
as much as I'm giving you all these goals and things, like, I'd be perfectly happy being a hippie on a beach somewhere with a beach house, or
Oh,
even
nice.
then on a mountain somewhere, just with my dogs and, like, maybe a goat. I don't know. Like, I can fit into so many different scenarios. I don't know exactly how it's going to end up, and I think that's actually the best thing, because you just kind of put everything you like together and it falls into place.
For sure. I think I feel like that when it comes to social media, because when I started, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And for the social media part, I still don't have an idea what I'm going to do. I might stop in a year. I might continue. I might grow. I might have
Mhm.
100,000 followers. I might have zero. They might lose them all. Who knows? But
Yeah.
what I know right now is I love doing this. It's fun. Podcasting was
Yeah.
fun. It still is fun for me. Social media is fun. I like doing my memes. It makes me happy, making people laugh.
Oh,
It really does. It's
that's the matter.
memes are life. Memes are life. I love it so much.
It's a love
And
language.
Yana,
It's one of my love languages, memes.
it's a picture can say 1,000 words. It's so true. It's so true.
But
So
yeah, I
Yana,
think I was going to say every decision
go for
is
it.
purely based off of does this make me happy, and we go with that. It's not really deeper than that.
Yeah. Well, I want to say, Yana, thank you very much for joining my podcast on short notice, by the way, everyone. I reached out there and she's like, yeah, sure, let's do it like within like 48 hours. It's like, oh, sweet. So, yeah, podcasting is not easy. It's sometimes hard to like fix the schedule. So, thank you for that, Yana. And I
Absolutely.
want to say, if people want to find you on social media, where could they find you?
Yeah, so I'm most active right now on my Instagram. It's just my name, Yana Filion. I also do TikTok sometimes on and off. So Yana Filion as well. And those would be my two main things that I use. You can send me a message if you're interested. Like I love to chat. Anytime.
Sounds great. And I'm going to end it off one more time mentioning the good partners at Higher Healths Canada and USA and X Marshall. Special thank you again. My coupon code will be again here or maybe here, somewhere around here. Thank you, everyone. Yana, thank you so very much. Have a great day. And everyone, take care.
Thank you
Have
so
a good one.
much. Bye.
Oosh.